I stand in my parents' Virginia dining room, the weight of my Columbia law degree heavy in my left hand. The certificate feels like lead now, not the golden ticket to their approval I'd imagined. My right hand instinctively moves to the small swell beneath my silk dress, 5 months of secret joy and terror wrapped in one. Father's face contorts as his gaze drops to my middle. In 27 years, I've never seen William Ellis look at me with such naked disgust. "You're a disgrace," he says, each word precise as a knife. "Get out." Mother's perfectly manicured nails dig into the back of her dining chair. "You made your bed, Amanda. Sleep in it." Her voice lacks even the pretense of warmth. I swallow hard. This homecoming dinner, meant to celebrate my graduation with honors, has transformed into my exile ceremony in less than 5 minutes. "If you'd just let me explain about Ethan." "There's nothing to explain." Father cuts me off, straightening his tie as if my very presence has disarranged it. "Do you have any idea what this will do to our standing in town? What people will say?" 2. "We've given you everything," Mother adds, her voice trembling not with emotion but carefully calibrated outrage. "The best schools, opportunities most girls would kill for, and this is how you repay us?" I try again. "Ethan and I are engaged. The baby—" "Pastor Thompson just asked me to head the Family Values Committee." Father interrupts, color rising in his neck. "Can you imagine if he knew my own daughter was—" He can't even finish the sentence. Mother's eyes dart to the window as if the neighbors might be peering in. "The Gardeners Club meeting is at our house next week. What am I supposed to tell Elizabeth Gardner? Or Susan Matthews from church?" Their words wash over me, and I realize they haven't asked a single question about the father of my child or how I feel. All they see is the threat to their carefully curated image. "You are not welcome in this house while carrying that mistake," Father declares, pointing at my belly. His words unlock a memory from years ago. My 15th birthday. I'd been offered an art scholarship to a prestigious summer program in New York. When I showed Father the acceptance letter, his smile never reached his eyes. "Art is a hobby, Amanda, not a future. And Ellis always puts family reputation first. I've already enrolled you in the business leadership camp instead." I remember how I'd nodded, swallowing my disappointment, tucking away my sketches. It wasn't the first time I'd abandoned something I loved for his approval, nor the last. College boyfriends never made it home for holidays. "They aren't quite what we had in mind," I'd explain, never admitting my fear that Father would find them lacking. Even Ethan, Harvard-educated and from a good family, remained my secret for 5 years. Every decision, every achievement measured against William Ellis's impossible yardstick. And still, I never measured up. My hands tremble now, but my voice steadies. "They didn't even ask who the father was," I whisper to myself. If they had, everything might have been different. Father checks his watch, signaling that my time is up. Mother straightens silverware that doesn't need straightening. "I'll get my things," I say quietly. Upstairs, I pack a suitcase with mechanical precision. Through the floorboards, I hear the clink of silverware as my parents continue their dinner without me. 5 minutes to erase 27 years of daughterhood. On the hallway wall, family photos mock me. Ellis family at the country club. Ellis family at Father's firm party. Ellis family at Mother's charity gala. In every picture, perfect poses, perfect clothes, perfect smiles. Not one shows who we really are. I trail my fingers over a photo from my law school acceptance. Father's hand on my shoulder looks proud to strangers, but I remember how his fingers dug in, whispering, "Don't waste this opportunity like you almost did with that art nonsense." Downstairs, Mother doesn't look up from her roast chicken. Father's newspaper creates a barrier between us. I place my framed law degree on the dining table, the last offering to their altar of appearances. "Goodbye," I say, though I might as well be speaking to the walls. As I step onto the porch, the door closes firmly behind me. No dramatic slam, just a quiet click of exclusion. I press my hand to my belly, feeling a flutter beneath my palm. "It's just us now," I whisper, fishing my phone from my purse to call Ethan. For the first time in my life, I've disappointed my parents in a way that can't be fixed with achievements or apologies. And strangely, beneath the hurt, something else stirs: relief. As if I've been holding my breath for 27 years and can finally exhale. Later that night, the hotel bed feels like sandpaper against my skin, as I cradle my phone, tears blurring Ethan's name on the screen. My fingers tremble as I press call, each ring echoing my heartbeat. "Amanda? What happened?" Ethan's voice wraps around me like a blanket. "They threw me out," I whisper. The words still unreal. They didn't even ask who the father was. Didn't ask anything about you. I'm coming to get you. Right now. No, I just need... My phone buzzes with a notification. Hold on. I switch to speaker and open the Facebook app. Mother's post appears at the top of my feed. Please keep our Amanda in your prayers. Sometimes the brightest minds struggle with the heaviest burdens. We're devastated by her breakdown, but trust God's plan for healing. The room spins. Ethan, they're telling everyone I had a breakdown. Before he can respond, my phone vibrates again. Aunt Martha's voicemail plays. Amanda, honey, your parents are devastated by your choices. They've loved you so completely. How could you hurt them this way? Pastor Thompson is already planning your intervention. Call them, sweetie. Make this right. I sink to the floor, phone clutched to my chest. They're rewriting everything. I tell Ethan, my voice hollow, creating their own version where I'm mentally unstable instead of pregnant and engaged. There's more, he says, his voice tight. Dad just got a call from a friend at Wellington and Pierce. Your father contacted the senior partners about, we're considering your job offer. Something about family concerns regarding your stability. The air leaves my lungs. William Ellis, who built his reputation in Virginia business circles over 30 years, is using those connections to destroy my future before it begins. He's trying to make me desperate. I say, surprising myself with how calm I sound. If I can't work, I'll need their money. Mother's using the social pressure. He's using financial leverage. Amanda, listen to me. We aren't playing their game. My father wants to speak with you. The phone rustles, and Charles Caldwell's deep voice fills the line. Amanda, you're family now. Do you understand? We protect our family. Something shifts inside me, like tectonic plates realigning. I stand, wiping tears from my face with the back of my hand. This isn't about shame, I tell him, clarity crystallizing. It's about control. Precisely, Charles says. Now, I've already sent a car to bring you to us. Pack your things. I couldn't impose. Nonsense. Grace is preparing the East Suite as we speak. Madison is practically bouncing off the walls to see you. And our family lawyer will contact your firm first thing tomorrow. Grace is our Grace. I hang up and call Ethan back, mind racing through options, weighing outcomes like the lawyer I've trained to become. I'll accept your father's help. You don't sound like you've been crying anymore. Ethan notes. I haven't been. Something changed when I heard your father's voice, like finally seeing the board when you've only been staring at one chess piece. 2 hours later, the Caldwell family driver helps me with my single suitcase. We pass through wrought iron gates and follow a winding driveway bordered by ancient oak trees. The Georgian mansion rises before us, 14 bedrooms behind stately columns, windows glowing gold against the evening sky. On the wide front steps stands Charles Caldwell, silver-haired and straight-backed. He opens my door himself, bypassing the driver. Welcome home, sweetheart, he says, helping me out with a gentleness my own father never showed. Grace appears in the doorway, her face warm with genuine concern. The suite is ready whenever you'd like to rest. No rush at all. Madison barrels past her mother, throwing her arms around me. I'm going to be an aunt. This is the best news ever. Their welcome washes over me in waves, each kind word, each touch on my arm a stark contrast to the icy rejection hours before. Yet beneath the gratitude, an emptiness expands. These people, practically strangers, despite my 5-year relationship with their son, offer what my own blood could not, unconditional acceptance. In the grand foyer, Ethan waits, hands behind his back. He drops to one knee as I approach, revealing an emerald ring glinting in an antique gold setting. My grandmother's, he explains. Dad had it sized for you last month when I told him our plans. The ring slides perfectly onto my finger. Another piece of evidence that the Caldwells prepared to welcome me while my own parents prepared to cast me out. Later, in the guest suite larger than my childhood bedroom, I stand at the window overlooking manicured gardens silvered by moonlight. The hollow victory tastes bittersweet, finding home with strangers instead of those who raised me. My phone buzzes with another of Mother's social media proclamations. William and I thank you for the outpouring of support during this difficult time. Family is everything. We pray Amanda returns to us soon. I turn off my phone, place one hand on my belly, and the other on the emerald ring. We have a family, I whisper to my child. Just not the one I expected. I wake to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains, momentarily disoriented until my hand finds the small swell of my belly. 3 days at the Caldwell estate, and I still expect to open my eyes to my childhood bedroom. Instead, I'm surrounded by the soft blues and creams of the guest suite Grace prepared with such care. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. Another text from Mother. "We're praying for your return to reason. The pastor mentioned wayward children in his sermon yesterday. Everyone's concerned." I set the phone down without responding. Downstairs, the scent of coffee and cinnamon pulls me from bed. In the kitchen, Grace Caldwell stands at the massive island, her silver hair caught in morning light. "There she is," Grace says, sliding a plate of cinnamon toast toward me. "Sleep well, dear?" Before I can answer, my phone lights up with a call from Father. 4th one this morning. I silence it, but not before Grace notices. "They found out where you are," I explained, the toast suddenly drying in my mouth. Grace covers my hand with hers. "Let them know." This isn't a secret to be ashamed of. Her eyes, so like Ethan's, crinkle at the corners. "You're carrying our grandchild too." Something in her matter-of-fact acceptance breaks through my carefully constructed walls. "They're telling everyone I had a breakdown," I confess. "Mother called the garden club yesterday. Made a scene about losing her daughter. And someone's been calling the firm. Anonymous concerns about my character issues." Grace's expression hardens. "William always did prefer manipulation to honest conversation." "How do you know my father?" "Charles and William have crossed paths for years. Our companies have occasional dealings." She refills my tea. "Your father threatened one of our project managers yesterday. Said his job would be in jeopardy if he didn't share your new address." The familiar knot forms in my stomach, but something else rises alongside it. Anger, sharp, and clarifying. "I need to document everything," I say, lawyer brain engaging, despite my personal turmoil. Every call, text, every attempt to interfere with my job. Grace's approval warms me more than the tea. "Smart girl. Protect yourself first." Later that morning, I sat cross-legged on the window seat, creating a detailed timeline on my laptop. Each manipulative text message, each missed call, each report from Charles about Father's interference, all cataloged with dates, times, and potential witnesses. 5 years of law school find purpose beyond making William Ellis proud. Charles finds me there, still working, when he returns from the office early. "Amanda," he says, knocking softly on the doorframe. "We have company." The hollow feeling in my stomach tells me who it is before he says another word. In the grand foyer, my parents stand like foreign dignitaries on hostile soil. Mother's cream suit bears not a wrinkle. Father's posture is board straight as ever. Their eyes sweep over the soaring ceiling, the hand-carved staircase, the generations of Caldwell portraits with undisguised calculation. "Amanda," Mother steps forward, arms outstretched as if for an embrace she knows I won't give. "We've been so worried." Father doesn't bother with pretense. "What exactly do you think you're doing here?" His voice carries the same authoritative tone that once sent me scrambling to earn his approval. "William," Charles Caldwell's voice lacks Father's sharp edge, but carries a quiet authority that makes everyone turn. "Elizabeth, I wasn't aware we'd scheduled a meeting today." Father's jaw tightens. "This is a family matter, Charles." "Indeed it is," Charles replies, moving to stand beside me. Grace appears at my other side, her shoulder touching mine. "Which is precisely why we're involved." "You've turned our daughter against us," Mother accuses, her voice pitched perfectly to convey maternal concern. I find my voice steady and clear. "You rejected me, they welcomed me." Father's eyes narrow. "This rebellious phase has gone on long enough. You're coming home where we can discuss this situation privately." "There's nothing to discuss," I say. "You made your position clear when you threw me out." "We were shocked," Mother counters, eyes darting to Charles and Grace as if they're the real audience. "You can't expect parents to absorb such news without reaction." "Grace." "You didn't even ask who the father was," I point out. 5 months pregnant, and you never once asked about the baby's father. A flicker of uncertainty crosses Mother's face, but Father plows ahead. "And now we find you've entangled yourself with the Caldwells. How convenient." Charles steps forward. "Amanda is under our protection now, William. As our future daughter-in-law and the mother of our grandchild, she has our full support." Father's confidence wavers for the first time. "Future daughter-in-law?" "Yes, Ethan says, appearing in the doorway. He crosses to me, his hand finding mine. We're getting married, something I would have told you, had you given Amanda the chance to explain. Mother's perfect facade cracks slightly. Ethan Caldwell? But you never mentioned. Would it have mattered? I ask. Would knowing the father is Caldwell have changed your reaction? The telling silence that follows answers my question more clearly than words ever could. Father recovers quickly, shifting tactics. Charles, we should discuss this reasonably. Our companies have mutual interests that could be affected by this situation. Charles's smile never reaches his eyes. Your employment relationships with Caldwell Energy remain secure, William. Your interference in my family, however, is not welcome. I watch Father's confident mask slip further, revealing the calculation beneath. For the first time, I see him clearly, not as the infallible patriarch whose approval I've spent 27 years chasing, but as a man whose power exists only when others grant it to him. Mother senses the shift too, her eyes darted between Charles and Father, suddenly unsure which man holds the stronger position in this room. Perhaps we've approached this incorrectly, she offers, softening her tone. We only want what's best for Amanda. No, I say quietly. You want what's best for your reputation. I place a protective hand over my belly. I'm building a real family now. The evening after they leave, Madison organizes an impromptu engagement celebration in the Caldwell garden. Fairy lights twinkle in the old oak trees, and the summer air smells of jasmine and possibility. First day of the rest of your life, Madison whispers, adjusting the simple floral crown she insisted I wear. Grace presents me with a stack of maternity clothes we'd purchased that morning, my first tangible acceptance of this new life growing inside me. Charles assures me my position at the firm remains secure, legal colleagues unswayed by anonymous whispers. Later, I added today's confrontation to my documentation file. Every message, every threat, every manipulation, all preserved in the cloud where they can't be erased. Ethan watches from the doorway. The wedding planner called, he says. Small ceremony, just as you wanted. I nod, saving the file. The sooner the better. 3 days later, a soft knock at the door interrupts us. Charles appears, his expression grave. Pastor Thompson is in the living room, he says, with your parents. My stomach tightens. An intervention? Charles nods. They're requesting you join them. Grace appears behind him, her finger hovering near the security button by the door. Say the word, and I'll have them removed. But something has shifted inside me. The documentation, the Caldwell's unwavering support, the clarity that comes from seeing my parents' manipulation laid bare, it all crystallizes into a new kind of strength. No, I say, rising. I'll speak with them. As we descend the stairs, I feel Ethan's steady presence behind me. Weeks ago, I would have crumbled under the weight of my parents' disapproval. Now, each step feels like reclaiming ground. Pastor Thompson rises when I enter, his expression uncomfortable. My parents flank him like bookends. Mother's eyes are red-rimmed, a performance I now recognize for what it is. Father looks not at me but at Charles, still searching for leverage. I take a deep breath, my hand finding Ethan's. It's time they heard my truth, I whisper, and step forward to face the past so I can claim my future. I rise from the antique sofa in the Caldwell living room, where Pastor Thompson sits uncomfortably between my parents. My hands don't tremble anymore. 5 days at the Caldwell estate have replaced my uncertainty with clarity as sharp as a scalpel. Pastor Thompson, I say, addressing him directly rather than acknowledging my parents. I appreciate your concern, but I need to correct several misrepresentations. My voice carries the precision I've practiced in courtrooms. My parents rejected me without even knowing I'm engaged to Ethan Caldwell. His eyes widened, darting between my face and my father's reddening one. The shock is genuine, the first honest reaction I've seen since they arrived. Furthermore, I continue, I'm carrying a child conceived in a committed 5-year relationship, not through some reckless encounter as you've been led to believe. Behind me, Grace and Charles stand in silent support. I feel their presence like a shield at my back. What my parents have orchestrated is textbook emotional manipulation. I say, unfolding a notepad where I've documented every call, text, and social media post. They've contacted my law firm to question my character. They've told extended family I had a breakdown. They've orchestrated what you believe is a loving intervention when in reality, It's an attempt to salvage their reputation at my expense. Father lurches forward in his seat. We just wanted what's best for you, Amanda. Can't you see that? Mother reaches for the pastor's arm, tears materializing on cue. We needed time to process everything. You sprung this on us so suddenly. I watch Pastor Thompson's face as he absorbs the conflicting narratives. His gaze lingers on my mother's hand clutching his sleeve, then shifts to my father's rigid posture. If you wanted what was best? I responded evenly. You wouldn't have thrown me out without asking a single question about the father of my child or my plans. Father's jaw tightens. This isn't the place for airing family business. I'm calling Daniel Hargrove at your firm on Monday. We'll see how excited they are about a new associate with your complications. A small smile touches Charles's lips as he steps forward. Actually, William, I had lunch with Daniel yesterday. He was delighted to hear about Amanda and Ethan's engagement. The firm is fully supportive of their family plans. Father's face drains of color. Mother's tears vanish instantly, then reappear with renewed vigor when she notices Pastor Thompson watching. The calculated nature of her performance becomes painfully obvious. Pastor Thompson clears his throat. Mrs. Ellis, Mr. Ellis, you didn't mention your daughter was engaged. His voice carries a note of dismay. Or that the father was Ethan Caldwell. Does that matter? Father snaps. The situation is inappropriate regardless. The pastor straightens in his seat. Actually, it matters a great deal. You presented this as a case of a young woman making reckless choices who needed the church's guidance back to the right path. He turns to me. Miss Ellis, Amanda, I sincerely apologize. The church should offer support during important life transitions, not judgment. Mother's fingers twist nervously in her lap. Pastor, surely you understand our position as pillars of the community. What I understand, he replies gently, is that I've been asked to participate in something quite different from what I was told. Charles steps forward, his manner relaxed and welcoming despite the tension. Pastor Thompson, may I offer you some coffee? You've had quite a drive from town. That would be lovely, thank you, the pastor replies, visibly relieved at the gesture of normalcy. Grace retrieves a small envelope from the side table. While Charles sees the coffee, perhaps you'd like to see our grandchild. She hands him the ultrasound photos. Healthy and perfect in every way. Pastor Thompson's weathered face softens as he examines the images. Beautiful. Truly a blessing. Ethan moves to stand beside me, his arm slipping naturally around my waist. Amanda and I have been together for 5 years, Pastor. We met during our first week at Harvard and have been inseparable since. The timing of the baby surprised us, but our plans to build a life together have been in motion for years. Madison, Ethan's sister, brings over a small folder. We've just finished the engagement announcement for the town paper. Perhaps you'd like to see it? Throughout this coordinated response, I maintain my composure. Not with the rigid control I learned in my parents' house, but with the quiet dignity that comes from being surrounded by genuine support. Mother's eyes linger on the ultrasound photo still in Pastor Thompson's hands. Something flickers across her face, not the manufactured emotion she's displayed since arriving, but something raw and genuine. For a brief moment, I glimpse the grandmother she might have been if appearances hadn't mattered more than love. Father notices nothing. His focus remains fixed on Charles, calculating power dynamics and finding himself outmatched. William, Mother whispers, touching his arm. Maybe we should listen. His head jerks toward her, betrayal flashing in his eyes. There's nothing to listen to. We're leaving. But Mother doesn't move. Her gaze returns to the ultrasound photo. Is it a boy or a girl? She asks softly. Father stands abruptly. Elizabeth. She flinches, but remains seated. Just a moment, William. It's the first time I've ever seen her contradict him, however mildly. The first crack in their united front. Father looks down at her with cold disbelief, then turns and walks out alone. The front door closes with a decisive click. Mother sits motionless, caught between the husband she's always followed and the grandchild she clearly wants to know. Pastor Thompson hands the ultrasound photo back to Grace with a nod of thanks. Perhaps, he says gently, this is a time for building bridges rather than walls. I watch my mother's face as she realizes the narrative she and Father crafted has crumbled. Their version of events no longer controls the story. The community they so desperately wanted to impress will soon know the truth not through angry accusations, but through a simple engagement announcement, and the quiet dignity with which the Caldwells have handled this ambush. The baby is a girl, I tell her, my voice neither warm nor cold, simply factual. An offering she can accept or reject. Mother looks up, uncertainty replacing her usual calculated poise. For the first time in my life, I see her without knowing exactly what she'll do next. And for the first time, it's not my problem to fix. I stare at the formal letter in my hands, William Ellis's law firm letterhead bold across the top. The demand for a family meeting before my wedding makes my stomach clench. 5 weeks ago, I stood in their dining room as they cast me out. Now they want to negotiate terms. Your father's lawyer called again. Charles Caldwell sits across from me at his mahogany desk, his voice calm but eyes sharp with concern. They're threatening a grandparent rights lawsuit. I trace the embossed letterhead with my fingertip. Mother's been calling every relative we have. Aunt Martha phoned me in tears yesterday, begging me to make peace with my parents before the baby comes. And now half the family is texting you, Ethan adds from his position by the window, sunlight catching the anger in his eyes. All with the same message. Grace enters with a tray of tea, setting it down with quiet efficiency. Her presence steadies me, so different from Elizabeth's calculating displays of motherhood. They've requested mediation. Charles's mouth tightens around the word. Before the wedding. I take the cup Grace offers, inhaling the calming scent of chamomile. 2 days until I marry Ethan in the Caldwell garden. 2 days until I officially join this family that chose me when my own did not. They're desperate. Grace says, her hand warm on my shoulder. They've lost control of the narrative since Pastor Thompson saw them for what they are. I think of the letter's threats to contest the ceremony, the thinly veiled accusations that the Caldwells had stolen me from my rightful family. William's lawyer even contacted my new colleagues, suggesting I might be emotionally unstable during my pregnancy. A small part of me whispers that making peace would be easier. For the baby's sake. For simplicity. The ghost of the daughter I once was still craves their approval. But as I look around at the Caldwells, Charles's protective steadiness, Grace's unconditional warmth, Ethan's unwavering support, clarity washes over me like a wave. Boundaries aren't punishment, I say slowly, setting down my cup. They're protection. Charles nods, a small smile playing at his lips. What if we invite them here? On our terms. A dinner, Grace suggests. We'll host. The home advantage will be ours. I straighten, my legal mind already mapping the strategy. I'll prepare statements they can't refute. Facts, not emotions. And we'll still hold the wedding 2 days later, Ethan says, moving to stand behind my chair. Regardless of what happens. My hand finds his, drawing strength from his touch. Let's do it. That evening, Grace sends a formal dinner invitation to my parents. The response comes within an hour they'll attend. Their eagerness only confirms their desperation. When they arrive the next evening, I watch from the library window as Charles greets them at the door. My father's Bentley looks small in the circular driveway of the Caldwell estate. Mother wears her church luncheon outfit cream silk with pearl buttons. Father's suit is pressed to military precision. They look powerful until they step inside. The 14-foot ceilings and old money elegance of the Caldwell home dwarf their carefully constructed status symbols. Their expressions flash with poorly concealed discomfort. Charles leads them to the dining room with impeccable professionalism, making small talk about the unseasonably warm weather. Grace welcomes them with a warmth that neutralizes their initial tension, though I catch the calculation behind Mother's returning smile. I entered last, Ethan at my side. The baby bump is more pronounced now, impossible to ignore beneath my navy dress. Father's eyes slide away from it. Mother lingers a moment too long. William, Elizabeth. I greet them with careful neutrality. Thank you for coming. We take our seats, Grace's finest china gleaming under chandelier light. The first course arrives, carried by staff who've served the Caldwells for decades. The contrast to our family dinners, Mother insisting on serving herself to show her domestic skills, is stark. As the soup bowls are cleared, I place my napkin beside my plate and meet my father's eyes directly. I've prepared a statement about our family values. I begin, my voice steady. But first, I have a question. Father shifts in his seat, already uncomfortable with my control of the conversation. When exactly did you decide to reject me from our home? I ask. Before or after you found out who the father was? The color drains from Father's face. His stunned silence reveals everything. I don't know what you mean, Mother stammers, but the excuse falls flat. When Amanda told you she was engaged to Ethan Caldwell? Charles says calmly. You never bothered to ask. You saw only a pregnant, unmarried daughter a threat to your reputation. Not the fact that she was building a life with someone from one of Virginia's oldest families. Father's jaw tightens. That's not... It's exactly what happened. Grace interrupts, her voice gentle but unyielding. You rejected your daughter and my grandchild without knowing a single fact beyond what might embarrass you at church. We were shocked. Mother tries again. We needed time. Time to spread rumors about my mental health? I ask. Time to contact my law firm? Or time to have Pastor Thompson ambush me? Father's fingers drum against the tablecloth. This isn't over, he says, the familiar threat in his voice. We have rights. Your employment at Caldwell Energy remains secure, Charles replies, measured and precise, as long as you stay out of Amanda's life. Mother's eyes fill with tears I've learned not to trust. We have grandparent rights, she whispers. The courts, I interrupt, my legal education a weapon now, require established relationship patterns to grant visitation. Your rejection and subsequent actions are documented. Every call, every text, every manipulation. I lean forward. I may be your daughter, but I'm also a Columbia-educated attorney. Don't threaten me with a law you don't understand. Their faces crumple not from remorse but from the realization that their weapons have been stripped away. This dinner is over, Charles says, standing. I'll walk you out. As Charles leads them to the door, I watch Father's pale face and rigid shoulders. Mother glances back once, tears streaming now. For the first time, they might be genuine. I feel no sadness, only the clean wound of closure. The Caldwells surround me as the door closes. Grace's arm around my waist, Ethan's hand in mine. The family I chose. The family that chose me. They showed me exactly what kind of parent I'll never be. I say softly, one hand resting on my belly. In 2 days, I'll marry Ethan in the garden behind us. And in 4 months, we'll welcome our daughter into a home built on love instead of appearances. Some boundaries aren't meant to be crossed. Some endings make room for better beginnings. 4 months later, I stand in the Caldwell dining room, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. My Columbia law degree now hangs proudly in Charles's study, his suggestion, not mine. My silk dress, the same one I wore that fateful night at my parents' home, stretches more noticeably over my 7-month bump now. Charles raises his crystal flute, the bubbling apple cider catching the afternoon light. To our daughter and grandchild, he announces, his voice warm and steady. Around the table, faces I've come to treasure beam back at me. Grace dabs at her eyes with a linen napkin. I never thought I'd be so blessed, she whispers, reaching for my hand across the polished mahogany. My phone buzzes against the table. My parents' number flashes on screen, the 3rd call this week. With a single swipe, I decline it. No panic rises in my chest, no desperate need to answer, just peace. Everything okay? Ethan asks, his hand finding the small of my back. Perfect, I answered, meaning it. 4 weeks ago, we married in the Caldwell garden. Nothing elaborate, just roses climbing white trellises, a string quartet playing Bach, and 40 guests who genuinely celebrated our union. My ivory dress showed my belly proudly. Ethan's eyes never left mine as we spoke our vows under Virginia's sky. Later that night, I wrote in my journal, "Love doesn't require earning." 4 words that took 27 years to learn. My law career began with surprising confidence. No shadow of parental expectation follows me into client meetings or court appearances. Instead, I carry the steady assurance that comes from building a family based on mutual respect rather than obligation. The nursery takes shape under Grace's gentle guidance, buttery yellow walls that catch the morning light, a rocking chair by the window. She never pushes, never presumes, just offers her thoughts as suggestions I'm free to accept or decline. My mother would have rearranged everything without asking, I told Dr. Winters during therapy last week. Our monthly sessions have become a refuge where family trauma transforms into understanding. And how does Grace's approach make you feel? She asked. Like I matter, I answered simply. The baby shower brought unexpected tears, seeing Madeline from the firm, my college roommate Sarah, Ethan's sister Madison all gathering around me, chosen family replacing toxic connections. Yesterday, a junior associate peeked into my office, her hands twisting nervously. My father wants me to switch to corporate law, she confessed. He says family law isn't prestigious enough. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Family is who stands beside you when it's hardest, I told her, sharing my story not as a victim, but as a survivor. Her eyes widened with recognition. Now, standing on the Caldwell estate porch at sunset, I watch Ethan cradle our sleeping daughter. Born 3 days ago, Lily Grace Caldwell entered the world with a powerful cry and 10 perfect fingers that wrapped instantly around my heart. There's a letter, Ethan says quietly, nodding toward the side table. My mother's handwriting crosses the cream envelope. I open it carefully, reading Elizabeth's request for reconciliation, for a chance to meet her granddaughter. My response feels neither angry nor bitter, just clear. When you're ready to meet your granddaughter as she is, not as a continuation of our family name, not as a secret to be hidden, but as the beautiful gift she is, we'll be here. The Virginia countryside stretches before us, hills rolling toward the horizon as the sun paints everything in amber and gold. Through the window behind us, I glimpse Charles and Grace watching, their faces full of quiet joy. They showed me what family isn't, I whisper to Ethan. The Caldwells showed me what a family should be. Blood doesn't make family, love does. He kisses my forehead, our daughter sleeping peacefully between us. Love without conditions, he adds. I nod, finally understanding what I could never earn but was always worthy of receiving.